Hey, what's going on, brother? How you
The
doing?
flood happened. I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good, man.
That's good. I would like evidence that the flood occurred.
Hydrologic sorting, polystrata fossils, dinosaur bone beds, soft tissue, and DNA fragments found in dinosaurs.
Wait, you spoke too fast.
Yeah, I was just going through it. We can go through each one of those if you'd like. But hydrologic sorting,
Yes, please.
polystrata fossils, dinosaur bone beds, soft tissue, and DNA found in dinosaurs. I think these are the best evidence for the flood model.
Let's go with the first one.
Okay,
Please repeat
so
what you said.
the geologic column, right? So when you see all of these different layerings all over the planet, like if you go take a look at the Grand Canyon and you look at the side of the wall and you see all these different layers, that happens in water. It's called hydrologic sorting.
All right. So how does that prove that a flood happened? Wouldn't that have to
Speak,
be everywhere as well?
you're really low, brother. Speak up a little bit. I can barely hear you.
Sorry. You say the Grand Canyon, the way it's formed is evident. If the flood was worldwide, why is everywhere not the same?
Well, because the flood
Why?
was only on the Earth. I understood the question. Yeah, the flood was only on the Earth for about 4 months, as far as before. No, it covered the highest hills. Now they stayed in the boat for over a year, but Noah only floated for 4 months, and 4 months is not enough time to get a uniform sediment layer all over the entirety of the planet.
How did animals repopulate the entire planet with only two of each species?
Population models fit us, brother. You can take any population model you want today and say, could they have come from two animals that got off Noah's Ark? And the answer will absolutely unequivocally be yes, because the
I would
population
like, I
models
would
fit
like,
us.
I would like a source for that.
You can just Google it. Ask it for the elephants are one of the ones that have the longest gestation period, if you will, for them to have babies. So you can just ask Google right now. Could the population of the elephants that we have today come from two elephants that got off Noah's Ark 4,500 years ago? It's going to tell you yes. The math of as far as the population models fit the young Earth model every time.
All right, I don't think that's true, but okay. I'm gonna ask you
Well,
a
I mean,
moral
do you want me to
question.
Google
I'm
it
gonna
for
ask
you?
you.
I can't turn my camera around because TikTok cites me for using an outside source.
Okay, that's fine. Why does an all-loving God need to kill everyone? Why can't he just forgive
That's
them for the things they did if
Yeah,
he
he
loves them?
can, but brother, that's an emotional argument. So it's an appeal to an emotion now. So no disrespect, I think you've kind of felt like you couldn't contend with the flood, so now you're going to go God is mean argument. And I don't mind having those
No,
conversations
not
if people,
speaking
hold
that.
on, hold
Okay,
on. I do
okay.
not mind having those conversations if people are actually looking for a legitimate answer. But if they run to that because they feel like they're losing another argument, that's literally an emotional fallacy. And I just don't have
Yes, you
time to
are
soak
correct.
up all of the tears in here. You literally have to believe God exists before you can think he's mean. So
Yes,
you want
you're
to stick
right.
on topic, or you just want to run to an emotional crybaby argument? Because I don't do those.
Okay, right. How did the predators and the prey coexist on one boat?
Yeah, good question. The Bible says there wasn't any predators until after the flood. You can say you don't believe it, but you can't say the Bible doesn't teach it. So they
But I
didn't eat
don't
meat until they
understand
got
what that
out
means.
of the flood. Say it
But
again.
weren't all the animals on a one boat? Isn't that the whole point?
Well, yes, but for example, the lions weren't carnivores, so you didn't have to worry about them eating the rabbits.
Wait, how were they not carnivores when they're lions?
Because what you believe in is uniformitarianism. Again, you can say you don't believe it, but you can't say the Bible doesn't teach it. And a
I don't know
lion
what
can
the
live just fine
do.
on a herbivore diet today, brother.
Right, but how did the lions not hunt the prey on the boat? You're answering a different
Because they
question now.
wasn't carnivore. Are you? Can let me say it again, okay? I understand you don't believe it, right? I get that. But you not believing it is not the same thing as the Bible not teaching it. So the Bible says that they were not carnivores until after the flood, meaning that when they were on the boat, they didn't eat meat, okay?
But all fossils of lions before the said flood happened all prove that they were carnivores
How does fossils prove what they ate?
because they have canine teeth.
Well, the teeth
They can't
doesn't. So does
digest
a fruit.
vegetables.
Well, you can't use shapes of your teeth in an effort to determine your diet, because I can give you plenty of examples of animals with extremely sharp teeth that are straight herbivores. The fruit bat being an example. The water deer. The water deer is a deer that has two canine teeth that hang down out of its mouth, and they're not tusk like you would imagine. Their teeth, right? They're teeth, and it's called the Chinese water deer. Look up a picture of it. It's funny to look at because it's a deer with two massive teeth that stick down, right?
Do you know the
You
purpose of
look up
those
little.
teeth?
Hold on. Look up Little Tyke,
Okay.
right? Little Tyke was a lion that lived relatively recently that refused to eat meat its entirety of its life, right? So, yeah, shapes of your teeth doesn't determine your diet.
But you're naming exceptions though to the rule.
It's not an exception.
Okay.
A fruit bat lives exclusively off of fruit, and it has extremely sharp teeth. The water
Yes,
deer is not an exception to the rule. It lives exclusively on grass and vegetables, and it has sharp teeth. So a panda bear is not an exception to the rule. It has extremely sharp teeth, and it lives off of bamboo. You're just
But
sorry,
you
brother. You're just wrong.
no, you are naming
No.
exceptions to the rule and trying to say that that's how it
It's
works.
not an exception, brother. I can name them just like this right here. You're just stuck now. Do you have anything else? Because you're not contending by just saying that I'm naming an exception. No, I'm not. These animals are literally
did-
vegetarians, and they have sharp teeth exclusively.
How did freshwater fish survive the salt of the rain and the
Right.
flood with all that salt mixing?
Salt's a result of erosion. So we believe that the pre-flood world was fresh, and I imagine that most of your fossils on the planet are marine fossils. So a majority of them didn't last because of a lot of this stuff. But I'm
So
sure
then
that
how
there
did
were
they-
obviously pockets that could adapt slowly.
But then how did they grow back? I mean,
How did they go back?
How did they repopulate again?
If you introduce salt into an environment very slowly, then the fish has time to adapt. I believe in microevolution. That's not, a fish learning how to live in saltwater, or saltwater from freshwater, is a microevolution. That's not a macroevolution. That's just adaptation to your environment.
Wait, no, you're now talking about something else. I'm asking how they survived during the flood.
Fish, there was plenty of water
Freshwater
outside.
fish. Freshwater fish.
Yeah,
they
there's
just
plenty of
survived in
water out.
saltwater.
Okay, my goodness, man. I'm really, I want to answer your questions, even though I don't know if you'll listen or not. I want people in the comments, they might have the same question, but man, I have to answer your question like 2 times or 3 times every time. So there was no such thing, more than likely. I mean, the Bible doesn't say, but as a young earth creationist, I would imagine that most of us believe that the waters on the planet were fresh waters to begin with. Salt water today is a result of erosion, meaning that the salt runs off the continents into the ocean. So before the flood, they were probably freshwater. This is why your streams and rivers and stuff are freshwater, and your oceans are saltwater. Okay? So saltwater is a result of erosion. And you can take a fish and slowly introduce salt, and it can acclimatize to it. I think that that's a microevolution. That's adaptation to your environment.
You accept microevolution. Wouldn't a lot of microevolutions lead to just evolution over time?
Well, if the theory was true as far as macro was concerned, then I believe that the process would be micro. But that's why I gave the definition of genetic information gain, right? That's what we need to see in an effort for macroevolution to be true. So microevolution takes existing information, right, and then encourages or discourages that information. It doesn't create new information. So if macroevolution was true, it would create new information. And since this happens every single day, I just need an example of genetic information gain that's testable and observable, that's not inferred.
How did all the trees survive being drowned in water?
Well, most of them were probably float for a while, but again, it was only 4 months, and then the ark hit ground, so the trees didn't have to be underwater for an extended period of time. And then you would have
4
floating
months is a
debris
very long
mats.
time for
Hold
somebody
on,
to
I'm
do it.
answering your question. And then
And
you
your
would have
answer's
floating debris. How's my answer flawed? I hadn't got through it. Tell me how it's flawed when I hadn't got through the answer yet.
Because you said the trees didn't have to be underwater for a long time, but 4 months underwater is a pretty long time for.
Great. Now, if you'll just let me finish the answer, you'll see how I'm about to answer that objection, and you never had to interrupt me to hear it. Okay?
All right.
So there's also floating debris mats. So in a worldwide flood, again, we see this with landslides. It literally tears trees up by the roots, right? You would have had trees that floated on top of the water that would have got replanted somewhere else. And then obviously all of their seeds and stuff would float and then get replanted as the waters went off the continents. We see this in floods today. It'll literally pick up tree. You ever seen a tree that after you go to somewhere that's had like New Orleans or something like that had a major flood that tore up the trees, and you'll see this one tree that's just completely growing weirder than all the other trees? It's because more than likely it was picked up, moved somewhere else, and then replanted down somewhere else. As long as it has its root system and it's planted in a position that it can still live, obviously, then that tree can do just fine.
All right. Do you know what an ad hoc rationalization is?
Help me out.
You don't know what that is.
No, I said help me out. Tell me what it is.
It's when someone uses exceptions or red herrings to answer a question.
Okay, so how did you not want me to answer? You just want me to say, you just want me to not give you the answer? Because we literally have floating debris mats that are the size of states that we can see in the fossil record from the flood. So why would I not use that as evidence? When you can see coal seams that literally take up several states, right? As creationists, we believe that these were floating debris mats of vegetation that got buried during Noah's Ark. You take the dinosaur bone beds like the Morrison Formation that goes through, like, it's right at the top of Mexico all the way across the United States and into parts of Canada, right? That's how big one dinosaur boneyard is. It's one formation. Why does that keep cutting off? So when you see stuff like this right here, right? That's evidence of a floating debris mat that was the size of several states, brother. So that evidence is not me just using an ad hoc. It's me using the evidence to contend with your argument and you just not liking the evidence. It's not my problem.
Sure. I have one last question for you. Does it matter to you if what you believe is true or not?
Does it matter to me? Well, yeah, I don't want to believe something that's not true.
Okay. All right. I have no further question for you.
All right, brother. Have a good day, okay?